Hello and welcome back to UI Insight. I'm Stephen Chalmers. Today I want to talk about the canvas size anchor in Photoshop. Let's take a look at that. So this is the canvas size dialog that I want to talk about, and within this dialog there's an anchor custom control. Basically it's a custom control unique to Photoshop for helping the user size the canvas to a different size. So let's take a look at how that's used in Photoshop. Launch Photoshop here so I can show you it in action. Let's open a picture that is 800 by 300 pixels. So this picture, taken from top of the rock in New York, last time I was there, is 800 pixels wide and 300 pixels tall. Let's launch the canvas size dialog and see what we've got. So the canvas size dialog tells us that this canvas, this current picture we're looking at, this Photoshop document, is 800 pixels wide and 300 pixels tall. So here we have an opportunity to enter some different dimensions. So let's go 1,000 wide by 600 tall and hit enter. So what that did is that took our 800 by 300 picture, put it in the middle of a now, what did I say, 1,000 by 600 canvas. So you've got a lot of white space around that image. Let's take a look at that again. Do that again. Let's just make it taller. So let's leave the width alone at 800 and make it 600 pixels taller. So now it just puts some white space above and below. Since we didn't change the width of the canvas, we only have to grow it top and bottom. So this is the, let's look at it one more time. This is the canvas size dialog that I want to talk about, and specifically this anchor custom control at the bottom. So let's go back to PowerPoint here. So again, we started with a photograph that was 800 pixels wide, 300 pixels tall. We looked at this dialog and it allowed us to resize it, to enter a larger width, or not a larger, it allowed us to enter a different width and a different height. My issue with this custom control is it's a little bit misleading. So let's look at that second example where I left the width alone at 800 pixels, but I grew the height from 300 to 600. So that meant that I needed to specify where I wanted to set the anchor, and that's what anchor refers to in this dialog. It says, where do you want to anchor the existing document relative to the new size? So it was 300 tall, now I'm making it 600 tall. Do you want to put the existing stuff at the very top or at the very bottom, or do you want to leave it in the middle, right? Let's demonstrate that one more time. So here's Photoshop. If I make it 600 pixels tall, I can say grow it upwards, anchor my document, my current picture at the bottom, and grow the canvas upwards. So let's take a look at that. Right. So the 300 pixel image is at the bottom of the canvas and it grew to the top. Let's do that one more time. Make the height 600 again. This time let's put the picture at the top. So we're going to anchor it by clicking on this cell in that anchor custom control, and we're going to grow that canvas to the bottom. We're going to grow it downward and leave the picture at the top. So let's see how that looks. So that's exactly what we thought would happen. The picture stays up here and it grows downward. Back to PowerPoint. The problem I have with this custom control is it's misleading. So here we are, again, we've got the original document, 800 wide, 300 tall, and I'm changing the height. I'm changing it from 300 to 600. So if I'm only changing the height, why does Photoshop allow me to select one of the arrows that moves it left or right? Because I'm not growing the width, so there is no room to move it left or right. There's room to move it up and down because I'm changing the height, but there's no room to move it left or right. There's no room to move it left or right. So why is this anchor custom control allowing me to do that? So here I am, I've set the height 600, and all of these arrows are enabled. So again, one more time, let's go back to Photoshop. Change the height to 600, and all of these arrows within the anchor control are enabled. So for instance, if I click this one that says anchor it on the left, grow it to the right and the top and the bottom, it doesn't mean anything to say grow it to right because we're not widening this canvas, we're only growing it vertically. So let me show you what I think would be an improvement to this design. So now, same situation, 800 wide, 300 tall, starting canvas, and we're changing the height up to 600. Now, since the only change being made is the height, only the up arrow and the down arrow in the anchor custom control are enabled. All the others are not enabled because they don't mean anything in this scenario, because we're not making it wider, we're only making it taller. So I believe that the existing anchor custom control in Photoshop is misleading. It's lying to the user. It's letting them click on selections that actually have no meaning. And I think that's very disadvantageous. That makes the user confused and feel stupid. They're confused because the program's letting me click on these things, but nothing seems to be different when I do that. Well, of course nothing's different because they don't have any meaning. This is a great custom control. It's very flexible. It's very responsive to what the user's doing. This custom control would be improved by taking it just one step further. Disable the arrows that don't make sense based on the new size that the user is specifying. I think it would be much clearer to the user, and the user wouldn't have to wonder why all those are enabled and what happens, because actually nothing happens. So thank you for listening. If you want to contact me with any questions or comments, please email me at steven@uiinsight.com.